Hello, my name is Sofia Dreessen, and this is my project, Water Conservation Programs, How Cities Can Save Money, Water, and Salmon. And for this project, I partnered with the Chehalis Basin Partnership. My site supervisor was Kirsten Harma, and my faculty advisor was Emily Hovis from the Environmental and Occupational Health Sciences Department. All right, to give you some background on this project, currently climate change alters stream flow variability, and this causes really low stream flows in the summer and really intense stream flows in the winter. And this can be harmful to salmon populations by limiting their migration and their available habitat to reproduce. It also limits the amount of water that is available for municipalities to give out to their residents. Additionally, separate from the environmental issue, high water use can limit like development in cities. Pipe size is a limiting factor for areas, and this is an issue that's relevant to a lot of cities, so they want to reduce their water use. One way to do this is through water conservation programs. This can reduce the amount of water that is used by residents and can prepare cities for lower flows that may come from climate change. And, this is a pretty popular thing to do. The city of Seattle and other cities like Tumwater and Olympia have these programs, but it is hard for smaller cities to implement this due to limited resources and money. And this leads into my research question, what conservation measures can cities use to effectively reduce water use? And for my internship, I worked closely with the staff of Chehalis, so their city manager and their municipal workers, and I worked with members of the Chehalis Basin Partnership to create a water smart program for the city. This was a report that would basically provide recommendations for the city to potentially implement later with grant funding. And to create this report, I used interviews to get a background on the municipality and then case study analysis and literature review to evaluate a list of possible options that can reduce water use. Then I compiled this list into a survey that I sent out to municipal employees where they shared their opinions on certain options. So what I found through this process was that free handouts of low use appliances, rebates for low use appliances as well, re-landscaping, tiered water pricing where low users have a lower rate and high users have a higher rate, and new infrastructure as well as public outreach were very important measures that can reduce water use used by the city and used by the municipality. Specifically, re-landscaping with native plants as well as limiting lawn space was a very valid option. And this option is important in Chehalis because we're most focused on summer use, and outdoor irrigation is the greatest use of water in the summer. And this list of native plants is shown in Figure 4 in the bottom right there. And this is just part of a comprehensive list I made for the city. Further, doing community outreach campaigns that value water as a public good as opposed to just a quantitative value were more effective. And also implementing an infrastructure, the reuse of reclaimed water for irrigation was another option. It's also important to note that political context and perceived water scarcity can impact participation in these programs. An area that is conservative, that doesn't perceive a lot of water scarcity, may not want to conserve water as much as a place that has the opposite conditions. Focusing on these issues in outreach can be very important and can have implications to make water conservation programs more effective. And to get to the responses from municipal employees, municipality employees were supportive of investment in new infrastructure, which is shown in Figure 1. Around 75% were very supportive of this option. And low use appliance rebates were also very supported. That is Figure 2. Again, roughly like 75% were, somewhat supportive. So a little bit less, but, generally like the option. And they also liked frequent assessment of water rates. However, they did not like the tiered pricing model, which is shown in Figure 3 in dark blue. This was particularly interesting because this is really supported in the literature as an option to reduce use while also promoting access to water and not reducing the impacts on lower income people. They also weren't as appreciative of the landscaping with native plants options and did not like voluntary reduced irrigation outreach. And some implications of this. So the city of Chehalis is using grant funding to implement a partial conservation program, which is a big deal. And the main focus of this program is to re-landscape key focal points of the city with native plants. And this will be accompanied with a informative sign that discusses water conservation and how to re-landscape. Further, they will also set up tables at their local community events that will hand out free water saving kits with, new shower heads and new nozzles, as well as rain gauges to help reduce water use among users. And future POE interns will continue to be working with the Chehalis Basin Partnership and can use this research as a foundation for outreach and environmental communication measures. And this is important because engaging the community will make this program much more successful. And this can have consequences, beneficial consequences on salmon populations, as well as preparing the city for the impacts of climate change. Also, these findings, even if they can't be applied specifically to the city, can be considered in later plans, such as larger infrastructure developments. And lastly, I would just want to give some acknowledgements to Kristen Harma, my site supervisor, Emily Hovis, my faculty advisor, and Jill Anderson for all this constant direction and advice. And I would also like to thank my super supportive POE peers and my friends and parents. Thank you.